I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. Are you blessing the world as you bless yourself? Well, thank you for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the original edition here on July the 6th of 2023, Lesson 187. I bless the world because I bless myself. No one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We've made this point before. What seems to make it hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. It is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. How is this possible? For it is sure that if you give a finite thing away, your body's eyes will not perceive it yours. Yet we have learned that things but represent the thoughts that make them. And you do not lack for proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen them in your own mind. Perhaps the form in which the thought seems to appear is changed in giving, yet it must return to him who gives. Nor can the form it takes be less acceptable. It must be more acceptable. Well, give it away. Give all to all. Remember our lesson? Ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to save the world, you first accept salvation for yourself. But you will not believe that this is done until you see the miracles it brings to everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased. Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away. Protect all things you value by giving them away, and you are sure that you will never lose them. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Yet value not its form, for this will change and grow unrecognizable in time, however much you try to keep it safe. No form endures. No form endures. It is the thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. It is the thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. Give gladly. You can only gain thereby. The thought remains and grows in strength as it is reinforced by giving. Thoughts extend as they are shared, for they cannot be lost. There is no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought in form most helpful to him. Let's read that a little bit again. There is no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought in form most helpful to him. What he seems to lose is always something he will value less than what will surely be returned to him. Never forget you give but to yourself. We're all in this together. Oh, matter of fact, I heard a really good saying the other day. It's the title of a book by clergyman John C. Maxwell, and it says teamwork makes the dream work. So we're trying to dream of a forgiven world, of a beautiful world where we're all interconnected and we're all brothers and sisters, holy. Well, We want to see each other as part of the one team, the team of atonement, you might think of it. We're all reaching atonement together. So teamwork makes the dream work. I can't say much about the book because I haven't read it, but I do like the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. Never forget you give but to yourself. You know, in a team, the weakest link is the chain, how does that say it? The chain is only as strong as the weakest link. But what we want to start seeing is that all of our brothers and sisters are part of this chain of atonement, and that we got to work as a team to support the weak and make them strong. And anyway, just keep in mind, teamwork makes the dream work. Never forget you give but to yourself. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice, nor can he fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. He laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty, starvation, and at death. He recognizes sacrifice remains the one idea that stands behind them all, and in his gentle laughter are they healed. Illusions recognized must disappear. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. That reminds me there in James, the Bible, he says, resist the devil and he'll flee from you. Well, here he's saying, and the devil is just another way of thinking about the adversaries, the adversities of life, those things that speak for the ego instead of for God. Illusions recognized must disappear. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers when you choose to see all suffering as what it is. The thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take, and sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. Never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. If the thought of sacrifice occurs, its very presence proves that error has arisen, and correction must be made. Your blessing will correct it. Given first to you, it now is yours to give as well. Your blessing will correct it. The idea of sacrifice. Just bless. Don't think you can lose. Your blessing will correct it. Given first to you, it now is yours to give as well. No form of sacrifice and suffering can long endure before the face of one who has forgiven and who has blessed himself. The lilies that your brother offers you are laid upon your altar, with the ones you offer him beside them. Who could fear to look upon such lovely holiness? The great illusion of the fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. Be not afraid to look. The blessedness you will behold will take away all thought of form and leave instead the perfect gift forever there, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. Now are we one in thought, for fear is gone. And here before the altar to one God, one Father, one Creator, and one thought, we stand together as one Son of God. Not separate from him who is our source, not distant from one brother who is part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips, and as we look within, we see the purity of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. Now are we blessed, and now we bless the world. What we have looked upon we would extend, for we would see it everywhere. We would behold it shining with the grace of God in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything we look upon. And to ensure this holy sight is ours, we offer it to everything we see. For where we see it, it will be returned to us in form of lilies we can lay upon our altar, making it a home for innocence itself, who dwells in us and offers us his holiness as ours. I bless the world because I bless myself. All right, well, let's go look at our text reading now for today. And it's, it seems like that ought to have a number or a letter in front of it. We're in chapter 19, Beyond the Body, section Roman numeral 5, Obstacles to Peace. The first section, A, the first obstacle, the desire to get rid of it. And then this next subsection under the desire to get rid of it is the attraction of guilt. So starting in paragraph 49, the attraction of guilt. And as you're turning there, let me tell you about what on earth is going on today. And it's Earth at Aphelion. And what is Aphelion? It's the farthest that the Earth is from the sun in its 365 day elliptic around the sun. So today's the farthest we're going to be from the sun, and that's the opposite of the perihelion, which is when we're the closest to the sun, which will be on January the 2nd of 2024. International World Kissing Day. Be sure to kiss your wife, your girlfriend, your partner today. International Kissing Day or World Kissing Day. National Air Traffic Control Day. National Fried Chicken Day. Take your Webmaster Lunch Day. In other words, have a good conversation with somebody who can help you. And pay for their meal or fix them a meal and have them over to your house. Umbrella Cover Day. Virtually Hug a Virtual Assistant Day. And Fast of Tamaz. That's also, it's actually, it's at sundown on the 5th, all day on the 6th until sundown on the 6th. And we talked about it yesterday, the Judaism holiday. Okay, and let's talk about a couple different plants out of the Gurney's seed nursery catalog. I want to tell you about the red candy apple. The red candy apple onion. Unmatched sweetness, it says of it. The ideal red variety for fresh eating or cooking. I used to have a friend, he was a dairy farmer, and he liked to eat onions, just pull them out of the bag. He liked the red ones the best, but he didn't. He'd just grab an onion and eat it like an apple. The ideal red variety for fresh eating or cooking. Red candy apple is so sweet you can eat them raw, but will also add wonderful flavor to any recipe. It sounds like a good one for salads. Plants produce 4 inches slightly flattened globes of rich deep red that store 2 to 3 months. They're a day neutral type and perform well anywhere. They're a 95 day. So they're a day neutral type, which means they work for where a long day will work or where a short day will work. Okay, and that's your Allium cepa. And then I said I wanted to tell you about another plant out of here, and that's the Charlotte strawberry. And it's as best I can understand, it's a Fragaria genus, and it's an anasa crossed with something else, or maybe with a couple different crosses. Or it could be just several. Anyway, I found out in trying to research that out that there's over 600 species of Fragarias. And it says here about this, it's an everbearing. Tips from the farm. Renewing your strawberry patch is essential for large berries and disease-free plants. In early fall, clip back leaves that are more than 3 inches above the crown of your original or mother plants Cut rooted runner plants from the mother plant and replant in bare areas. Remove and discard any mother plants that are more than 3 years old. And then harvest. Strawberries are best harvested the day they ripen. Pick fruits that are red from top to bottom, since they will not continue to ripen after picking. Isn't that something? And so it says here of the Charlotte, make strawberry season last longer with this introduction from France. Hands down winner on trials. Our staff loved the flavorful berries, vigorous plants and production. Flavorful berries, super sweet, strawberry candy flavored berries are a beautiful red color, great for eating fresh and in dessert. The Charlotte says of it that it just keeps produces blooms and berries from June until fall, even during hot summer temperatures, when other ever-bearing varieties taper off. Vigorous plants. Charlotte quickly filled our strawberry beds with new plants. Zones 3 through 8, so it'll do anywhere here in the Ozarks and many places around the world that are listening to me. So anyway, that's your Charlotte ever-bearing strawberry. The attraction of guilt. Let's look at this. And my teacher, I might say, he said guilt is the one emotion. This is my yoga teacher that taught me Kriya Yoga. And he said, Charlie, he said, guilt is the one emotion you don't ever need to feel. You don't need to nurse it along. I forget how he'd say it, but he said that's the one emotion. Don't give it any credibility. Don't give it any attention. And of course, that's what A Course in Miracles goes on and teaches very deeply. This is Reality was the book that my teacher taught from. I teach out of the book A Course in Miracles. The same message, really, but vastly different in approach. The attraction of guilt. The attraction of guilt produces fear of love, for love would never look on guilt at all. It is the nature of love to look up only on the truth, for there it sees itself, with which it would unite in holy union and completion. As love must look past fear, so must fear see love not. For love contains the end of guilt, as surely as fear depends on it. Love is attracted only to love. Overlooking guilt completely, it sees no fear. Being wholly without attack, it could not be afraid. Fear is attracted to what love sees not, and each believes that what the other looks upon does not exist. Fear looks on guilt with just the same devotion that love looks on itself. And each has messengers which they would send forth, and which return to them with messages written in the language in which their going forth was asked. Paragraph 50. Love's messengers are gently sent and return with messages of love and gentleness. The messengers of fear are harshly ordered to seek out guilt and cherish every scrap of evil and of sin which they can find, losing none of them on pain of death, and laying them respectfully before their Lord and Master. Oh my. Perception cannot obey two masters, each asking for messages of different things in different languages. What fear would feed upon, love overlooks. What fear demands, love cannot even see. 51. The fierce attraction which guilt holds for fear is wholly absent from love's gentle perception. What love would look upon is meaningless to fear and quite invisible. Relationships in this world are the result of how the world is seen, and this depends on which emotion was called on to send its messengers to look upon it and return with word of what they saw. Okay, let's look at that sentence again, or these last two. Relationships in this world are the result of how the world is seen. Relationships are the result of how the world is seen. What have you sent forth? And this depends on which emotion was called on to send its messengers to look upon it and return with word of what they saw. If you're going to look for guilt, you'll find guilt. If you're going to look for love, you'll find love. Fear's messengers are trained through terror, and they tremble when their master calls upon them to serve him. For fear is merciless even to its friends. Its messengers steal guiltily away in hungry search of guilt, for they are kept cold and starving and made very vicious by their master, who allows them to feast only upon what they return to him. No little shred of guilt escapes their hungry eyes, and in their savage search for sin, they pounce on any living thing they see and carry it screaming to their master to be devoured. Oh my. You know, sometimes I'll hear in the middle of the night a chicken being caught by a coyote or a fox or something. And boy, they make that loud, like scream, terrified scream. And and in their savage search for sin, they pounce on any living thing they see and carry it screaming to their master to be devoured. Send not these savage messengers into the world to feast upon it and to prey upon reality, for they will bring you word of bones and skin and flesh. They have been taught to seek for the corruptible and to return with gorges filled with things decayed and rotted. To them such things are beautiful because they seem to allay their savage pangs of hunger. For they are frantic with the pain of fear and would avert the punishment of him who sends them forth by offering him what they hold dear. 53. The Holy Spirit has given you love's messengers to send instead of those you trained through fear. The Holy Spirit has given you love's messengers to send instead of those you trained through fear. They are as eager to return to you what they hold dear as are the others. If you send them forth, they will see only the blameless and the beautiful, the gentle and the kind. They will be as careful to let no little act of charity, no tiny expression of forgiveness, no little breath of love escape their notice. And they will return with all the happy things they found, to share them lovingly with you. Be not afraid of them. They offer you salvation. Theirs are the messages of safety, for they see the world as kind. 54. If you send forth only the messengers the Holy Spirit gives you, wanting no messages but theirs, you will see fear no more. Let's do that. If you send forth only the messengers the Holy Spirit gives you, wanting no messages but theirs, you will see fear no more. The world will be transformed before your sight, cleansed of all guilt, and softly brushed with beauty. The world contains no fear which you laid not upon it, and none you cannot ask love's messengers to remove from it and see it still. The Holy Spirit has given you his messengers to send to each other and return to each with what love sees. They have been given to replace the hungry dogs of fear you sent instead, and they go forth to signify the end of fear. 55. Love too would set a feast before you on a table covered with a spotless cloth, set in a quiet garden where no sound but singing and a softly joyous whispering is ever heard. This is a feast which honors your holy relationship, and at which everyone is welcomed as an honored guest. And in a holy instant, grace is said by everyone together as they join in gentleness before the table of communion. And I will join you there, says Jesus, as long ago I promised and promise still. For in your new relationship am I made welcome. And where I am made welcome, there I am. 56. I am made welcome in the state of grace, which means you have at last forgiven me. For I became the symbol of your sin, and so I had to die instead of you. To the ego, sin means death, and so atonement is achieved through murder. Salvation is looked upon as a way by which the Son of God was killed instead of you. 57. Yet would I offer you my body, you whom I love, knowing its littleness? Yet would I offer you my body, you whom I love, knowing its littleness? Or would I teach that bodies cannot keep us apart? Mine was no greater value than yours, no better means for communication of salvation, but not its source. No one can die for anyone, and death does not atone for sin. No one can die for anyone, and death does not atone for sin. Yet you can live to show it is not real, that sin is not real. You can live to show that it doesn't exist, that guilt doesn't exist. The body does appear to be the symbol of sin while you believe that it can get you what you want. While you believe that it can give you pleasure, you will also believe that it can bring you pain. In the last paragraph for this section, 58, to think you could be satisfied and happy with so little is to hurt yourself, and to limit the happiness that you would have calls upon pain to fill your meager store and make your lives complete. Let's read that sentence again. To think you could be satisfied and happy with so little is to hurt yourself, and to limit the happiness that you would have calls upon pain to fill your meager store and make your lives complete. This is completion as the ego sees it, for guilt creeps in where happiness has been removed and substitutes for it. Communion is another kind of completion, which goes beyond guilt, because it goes beyond the body. So let's get completion. Communion. Let's get communion, or completion. Communion is another kind of completion, which goes beyond guilt, because it goes beyond the body. So let's send forth the messengers of love. Let's look for love. Let's look for every little small detail of love, because it's there, and that's what's real. And it's no little detail at all once you see it. Be sure to do your 2 longer periods today, saying, I bless the world because I bless myself, of at least 5 minutes each. And then every hour of the day, the best you can, bring the idea to your mind and give thanks and ask for guidance. And let's make sure I get this song right. I bless the world because I bless myself. 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 So let's bless ourselves today by blessing the world. And let's bless the world by blessing ourselves. Let's not look for any little details or think we're going to see sin in somebody. I've heard people say before, their true colors are coming out as when they do something. You know, that's who they really are. That's not when they make a mistake or do something that's you know, even in this world, a tragedy, a terrible act. Look beyond it to the reality that guilt is not real. And you'll see the reality that is your brother and sister. And that's what we're to do today. I bless the world because I bless myself. I'm going to bless myself for seeing beauty and love and goodness. And by seeing that, I spread that to everyone. I bless the world because I bless myself.